Hi, it's Jazzy. I'm back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at calibrating a couple of power supplies. But don't worry, it's more fun than it sounds. I've got a couple of Thandar bench power supplies here that are in need of calibration because they're well off, and I'm having a bit of a move around on my bench, and I figure it's time to put in a couple of good working power supplies and take out a couple that are causing me some problems. So let's get over on the bench and take a look at these Thandars. So today we're going to take a look at this bench power supply. Now this is one I've had for a long time, and you've seen it on many of my videos. It's a Thandar TS3021S, and it's affectionately known as Andy, purely because it has Andy written on the top. Not sure why. Obviously belonged to somebody called Andy at some point. So the power supply's always been known as Andy ever since. Now this one I've used lots and lots, and it's a good power supply, but it's really off. The voltage that it gives you on here is pretty out to what it's actually delivering. I think it's a good chance to give it a quick check over and give it a calibration. So what we see on there is closer to what it's actually putting out. So pretty simple to work on. These 4 screws there, 4 screws on the other side, and the whole cover comes off. Nice and easy. I've got a few Thandar power supplies from this era. I've got a triple, which also needs calibrating because it's well off. And I've got a double somewhere which is in need of a lot of work and just doesn't work at all, and it's in pretty beaten up shape. Good news is this one passed electrical safety test in 2014. Wow, that's longer ago than it seems. I've got a feeling, I can't remember if it was this one, but it was one of these I replaced the caps on when I got it, because I put some RS ones in. Aha! Pretty simple beast inside. A little dusty. Give it a bit of a clean out. But I believe these are really easy to adjust. We have these little trim pots on the back here of the panel. This is not the one I replaced the capacitors on. That must be one of my other ones, because I put RS ones in and these are not. These are caps on. But they look alright, they're not bulged. And it's been in regular use. It's just dusty. I'll just give it a bit of a dust out. Okay, so calibration on this power supply seems pretty simple. You require a 4.5 digit multimeter with a 10 amp range and a better than 0.1% accuracy on both voltage and current. And I believe a bit of patience. Well, that's not a problem. I've got both of those things. So for calibration, I'll be using this Solartron 7060G, which is a 6.5 digit multimeter. And we know this has been proven to be very accurate. And just so you can also follow along, because I can't get the Solartron in the same shot, I've also hooked up the Alien Tech there to keep an eye on things. And this meter, although it doesn't have 6.5 digits, is very accurate and will follow along very nicely with the Solartron. I'll be taking all my measurements for the calibration from the Solartron. This is just for your indication at home. All right, so let's switch Andy on just to see how far out we really are. Right, so with the front panel dials maxed out as per the instructions, we're getting 29.9 on Andy and 30.7 actual output. Now the 30.7 is within spec for the output of this power supply, so that's probably a good place to start. We just got to get the display on Andy to agree, because we're currently like 800 millivolts out. Now, because I can't see the meter on the front of Andy, I've set up an iPhone there. It's back to front, but it's better than nothing. So now I need to adjust VR6. Now VR6 is down here. Now obviously common sense, because this power supply is on, you don't want to be accidentally touching anything you shouldn't. I've got to adjust I want to be going until I see 30.7 on Andy. There we go. 30.7 on my backwards screen there. If you can see that down there. That is a very backwards 30.7. That agrees with the 30.7 I have here and the 30.7 I have on the Solartron. So what's next? Reduce the output voltage to approximately 15 volts and then adjust VR7, which is the top one. So we need to go down to 15 volts, which is very hard when you're looking at it backwards. 16, 15, and we're reading 15.041 on the meter. It's not as far out as it was then. Now we need to adjust VR7 until both meters agree. So VR7 is the top one. So we're 15.04 on the Alien Tech and on the Solartron. So I've got to get my meter on the front of the power supply. 15.7, 15.6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I want to be, don't go into screensaver. I keep meaning to turn that off. Right, 15.0. Oh, almost had that. Down a bit. 15.04. Perfect. Perfect. There's a bit of play in these adjusters. So going from one way to the other way. Right, so 15.04 on here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. I think you can just about. 15.04, 15.04 on the Solartron, so that is excellent. Now it's telling me that I need to set my output to 19 volts and adjust VR4. VR4 is the bottom one. So 19 we want to set this to. I mean, this is not an ultra precise power supply, but I'd like to have it pretty accurate, or more accurate than it has been. 18, right, 19. Okay, set the output to 19, adjust VR4, so the meter auto ranges at a point between 18.4 and 19.6. I think that's pretty much as close as I'm going to get it. So now we're going to adjust the current output. Right, so we've got the Alien Tech set to DC amps now. Adjust VR8 to give 2.07 to 2.09. Okay, so we're a little bit off here, we're on 2.06. So VR8 is this one here. Yeah, so if we go for 2.808, that's bang in the middle. I'm sure this is making for fascinating viewing. That'll do, that's good enough. Okay, 2.08, that's close enough. Right, reduce the current limit control to give approximately 1.8. Again, you can see it here, but it's backwards. Sorry about that. 1.6, 1.7, 1.8. Got no fine control, obviously, on current, so it's not an exact art on this power supply. I think that is as near as I'm going to get it. It does say approximately 1.8 amps, so there you go. Adjust VR10 so both current meters read the same. I do not need to adjust VR10 because we have 1.83 on this and 1.83 on this. 1.83 all round. Great. I've had this for years now and it's always been a good, reliable power supply. It's just that it's always been ever so slightly off, and the more I'm doing more testing and precision stuff recently, the more I'm noticing that it's off and it's becoming more of a problem. So now when I power up, so if I go up to max the whole thing, right, 30.7 volts. So let's go back to volts. Okay, DC volts, 30.7, output on, boom, 30.7. Oh, am I happy with that? I've been meaning to do this for so long. So if I ask for 30, I'm gonna get 30. Once this is warmed up, it's actually very stable. So I'm super happy about that. I mean, it's by no means a new power supply, and it only goes up to 30 volts, well, just over 30 volts, 2 amps. So it's not a big grunt power supply, but then I've got one that I'm restoring for that purpose. This is just my sort of general purpose one that I use for testing and bits and bobs, just bits and bobs. So if I go to 10, 10.0, 10.05, 10.05, yeah, it's now bang on where I want it to be. Oh, that makes me happy. Let's go right down then. Let's just check we've done a good job here. Let's go down to 1 volt or thereabouts. That's actually really good. I'm really happy with that. And the Solartron is agreeing. So we've got 1.0037 on the Alien Tech and 1.003679 on the Solartron. So yeah. So let's just put the Alien Tech back into current mode. We've got one more power supply to do though, so we're not home free yet. Let's switch that on. That is maxed out and I'm getting 2.08 amps. Actually bang on. I can't be mad at that. Look, 1.401, 1.401. It's the little things in life, isn't it? I've been meaning to do this for so long on this power supply. Look at that, 482 milliamps. Absolutely spot on. Super happy with that. Awesome. One last thing to do on this power supply then. I think we can remove the for indication only label. There we go. All we got to do is put the case back on now. Right, there we go. Good old Andy. Right, so now we've got Andy sorted. This is Andy's big brother. This is the Thandar TS3023S. This is a dual 30 volt power supply with an additional 5 volt power supply here. This is the DC Logic power supply. So this is quite handy if you're testing stuff. Now this power supply, it does work, but again it needs calibrating because I believe one channel was okay. I can't remember which one, so we're going to have to try this first. I think one channel was okay and one was off. I can't remember about the Logic one. I haven't used this power supply in a while. This was over in my other corner where we used to build the kits ages ago, and I'm having a bit of a rejig at the moment. So I want to fit this one in over here and take out some of the power supplies that need some work, like the Farnell, which has a few issues. But because this one is fully working, just needs a calibration, this is my easiest option for a working power supply right now. Internally, it should be very, very similar to Andy, and the calibration procedure will be exactly the same, except I will need to do it twice or possibly 3 times, depending on how many of these are off. So I reckon first thing we need to do then is plug it in and see which ones I need to calibrate and which ones I don't. Let's plug in. So let's switch the unit on. It all works, everything works on it. And you can switch this between isolated or tracking if you want both to track together. So if you want more, so you can hook these together essentially, for want of a better phrase, and get 60 volts. So let me max this. It's saying 32.3. Now, as remember from last time, we were looking for 30.7 to 30.9, so it shouldn't be going to 32.3, hopefully. Let's put the Alien Tech here so we can see what we're doing. And so this is maxed. Right, so we should be getting somewhere between 30.7 and 30.9, but that's over anyway. So switch on, and we are getting 32.2. Okay, so it's more than it should be putting out. So something not quite right on this one. I've got a feeling this might have been the channel that was off. So let's just try at 20 volts. Yeah, 19.8 3.87, so it's not as far off as Andy was, but it is off, and it's going up further than it should be going up. So if I turn this down to minimum, yeah, we're fine. Okay, so if we max this one out again, okay, so it's showing 32.6, it's putting out 32.2, so it's like, what, 400 millivolts out? So this is a fair bit out, and also it's putting out more than it should. So switch that one off. Now let's have a look at this one then. So again, let's max it out and see what we got. Display's giving me 30.8, which is, yeah, that's fine. That's within spec, and this is giving me 30.747. That's not bad at all. 20 volts, it's giving me 20 volts. So it's actually all right, this one. Whether I'll actually do anything with this one, I think it's actually within spec. Yeah, 30.7's just gone to 30.8, 30.7 and a bit. That's actually not bad at all. Good, good, good. So far, this one is well off. This one is pretty darn good. Let's look at the 5 volt logic supply. So set to 5 volts, switch on. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, this is going to be easier than I thought. Right, so if I max this one out, 6.1, basically what I'd expect. And at the minimum, 3.8. All right, this looks fine. This looks absolutely fine. See, this channel's different because this is just the logic supply one. So once you've set your voltage, you flick that on, that changes to your current display, whereas these channels have got dual displays, so you can see voltage and current at the same time. All right, so it looks from our quick test like this one's okay, this one's okay, this one is out. So let's get the cover off and we can calibrate this channel, and these two channels seem okay. Then this can go in and I'll take the funnel out, which needs a bit of work on it. Same again, 4 screws each side, but I've got an additional few on the top, although some of them seem to be missing. That's because it had handles on, or would have had handles on. This one would have had 2 on, Andy would have had 1 in the middle. Yeah, none of these had any handles when I got them. I think I have been inside this one before. When I first got it, I usually like to check these things over before I use them, although this was bought as working. This one's more of a challenge to work on because of the weight of it. Let's whiz that off, there we go. So yeah, much the same as just the single unit really, except we've got twice, and then we've got the logic supply on the end there. Again, slightly dusty. I'll give this a bit of a dust out, and then we'll make the adjustment, which we've only got 1 channel to do, so that shouldn't take too long. We're looking at this channel here because we know the other 2 are okay, so we don't need to do anything with those. They're within spec, so happy enough with those. So let's switch on. Got my reverse camera here. I've tried to set it up a little bit better so you can see it slightly better at home. We're going to do the same thing again. So we've got these all maxed out, you can see on there, and we're displaying 32.6, which is not what we want. Okay, so let's switch our output on. Actual output is 32.2, but we are displaying 32.6 on the power supply. So it's not quite as far out as Andy was, but this output is out of spec. The instructions say it should be around 30.7, 30.8. Andy was already on 30.7, so I didn't need to do this adjustment. There you go, 30.8. That'll do as a start point. All we got to do is get the 2 meters to agree. So we can see we've got 30.4 on there, 30.8 on there, so we're going to have to go for VR6, which is the middle one. We want to try and match what is on the Alien Tech, which is the same as what's on the Solartron at the moment, 30.433. 30.4, great, that's fine. Right, then we've got to adjust down to 15 volts. The Solartron relay's clicking as it changes ranges. It's quite hard doing it back to front. 15 volts, cool. Adjust VR7, that's the top one. We're looking for 14.53. 5.8. Oh, yep, there we go. Right, now we go to 19. Right, 19. I'm going to say that is fine. Okay, so now we just got to do the current. So it says reduce the current limit to give 1.8. That'll do. 1.8 amps, and then adjust VR10 so they both read the same. Not far out, is it? 1.78. Right, so where is VR10? Oh, VR10 is over here. The heatsink that I'm leaning on is getting quite warm. Right, 1.805, 1.804. Oh no, low battery on the phone. 1.803, that will do. Perfect. Right, I think we're there. Right, one more quick check then before I put the screws back in. Oh dear, the fun we have. Right, 15 volts. Yeah, 15 volts. Nice. Okay, good. $15 volts, nice, love that. And 5, yep, cool. I think we're good. Right, quick check on current then on this one that I just calibrated. So that should be, yeah, 2 amps is its max. Yeah, that's all right. There you go, look, 0.188, 0.188, nice. That's what I like to see. 0.125, 125, yeah, fine. Okay, great. Right, all we've got to do now is put the screws back in, and we're going to have a bit of a rearrangement. Right, well, I think that'll do me for today. Bit of an upheaval moving stuff around, but it means that I've got the Farnell power supply out, which needs fixing, and a couple of other bits that I don't use, and another power supply that needs fixing. But what I have got now in essence is 3 30-volt power supplies and 1 5-volt, all working and calibrated. Plus I've got the nice power, so at least now I know if I need power, I've got no shortage of power, and they're all calibrated. I've had these units around for a long time, so I may as well make use of them. It's all about making use out of the stuff that I've got and making it work. So I'm rather happy about that. Having calibrated both those power supplies, I've now got a good selection of workable bench power supplies. They're not ultra precision, but they're perfect for just doing bits and bobs and checking stuff and fault finding, stuff I would normally be doing on my bench. But having a bit of a move around also means I can start working on these power supplies, which both have some issues. We've seen some problems with this Farnell one before. It's not particularly stable, it wanders about all over the place, and I think it just needs a bit of love. And this bottom one here, one of the meters doesn't work, and that also wanders about all over the place. It's not very stable, where the Thandar ones are nice and stable. So I might do a bit of work on these, but I'm in no hurry because I now have a couple of workable power supplies. More projects for the future to look at. I find with any bench setup, it sort of evolves over time as I gain new bits of equipment, but also repair some of the older stuff. Sometimes I find one piece of equipment is slightly out of reach, or something's in a drawer and I can't get to it. It does take a while to work out what bits of equipment you need and what you use on a regular basis and what you don't, and you can have it arranged so that your most used stuff is within easy reach. I've still got a couple of key pieces that I want to use for testing that need repair, so I need to get those finished up, and you'll see videos on those soon. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Bonus points if you made it through to the end. As always, massive thanks to everyone for watching, sharing, liking and subscribing, and big thanks to all my YouTube and Patreon members. Don't forget you can support me on Patreon and buy me a coffee. It really does make a difference. It helps to support the channel and keeps me making more videos. I'll be back soon with another tech related video, but in the meantime, take care and I'll see you on the next one.